Nick, explain to us what's going on and what you're seeing now.
Well, Don, the picture you're seeing from our live camera position here in Tripoli is the skyline that we were looking at just a few minutes ago when we could hear that heavy anti-aircraft gunfire. Before the gunfire started, before we could hear that heavy anti-aircraft gunfire begin, there were in the distance a couple of heavy explosions. We don't know what caused those explosions. They could have been explosions from a cruise missile. They sounded that sort of sound, if you will, but we don't have any way to confirm that at the moment. But it was immediately followed by this barrage of heavy anti-aircraft gunfire, those tracer rounds that you can see there on the camera going way up into the sky, shooting way up into the sky. After about perhaps a couple of minutes, the anti-aircraft gunfire, a couple of other explosions, distant, large explosions again, then another barrage of anti-aircraft gunfire. That anti-aircraft gunfire that you could see there coming from the direction of the palace where Muammar Gaddafi lives, that's where that anti-aircraft gunfire appeared to be originating from. We saw when we were over there a little earlier this evening several anti-aircraft gun pits dug into a lawn around the very large premises of that palace complex. Now it has gone silent, eerily silent here in the capital, all but the sound of a few cars moving around on the road, but a very intense barrage there, perhaps 10 minutes or so of blasts, followed by that anti-aircraft gunfire, Don. Just heard another couple of blasts of sound there. It sounded like similar anti-aircraft gunfire. We couldn't see any tracers. If I can try and add a little bit of context here, if I may, to what we're hearing tonight. Having been in Baghdad when cruise missiles have been fired into the city there in 1991 and again in 2003, what we heard in Baghdad were anti-aircraft batteries across the city. We could hear them growing louder and louder and louder as we stood in the center of the city, as we are here in Tripoli today. In Baghdad back then, the multiple batteries tracking and following these cruise missiles as they came in, trying to shoot them down. I note what is different here in Tripoli today. Seems to be individual anti-aircraft units trying to shoot in the sky and bring down these missiles or respond to them in some way. What we witnessed in Iraq back then, 8 years ago, and I guess 20 years ago now, were coordinated, what appeared to be coordinated radar-informed anti-aircraft battery systems that could quite literally track across the city these missiles coming in. That's not the case here in Tripoli. This just seems to be isolated anti-aircraft guns operating individually, trying to follow and target hearing those explosions.